언제 이 수치가 방송에 나가는지를 최종적으로 통제하는 것은 중앙 서버예요.
중앙에서 데이터를 내리는 서버 한 대만 해킹을 하면 충분히 광범위한 해킹이 가능하다.
확실한 시그널이 잡힌 거라고 얘기할 수 있습니다. 그 시그널이라는 것은 결국은 랜덤이 아니라는 시그널이죠.
중앙에서 센트럴리 통제를 했기 때문에
같은 수치가 나온다라는 얘기는 중앙에서 컨트롤했다는 얘기예요.
했기 때문에
같은 수치가 나온다라는 얘기는 중앙에서 컨트롤했다는 얘기예요.
My name is Clint Curtis. I'm an attorney in Orlando. I was the programmer that wrote the original code that allowed for vote flipping.
Mr. Curtis, are there programs that can be used to secretly fix elections?
Yes,
How do you know that to be the case?
because in October of 2000, I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney at the company I worked for in Oviedo, Florida, that did just that.
So essentially it was requested by the incoming Speaker of the Florida House, and I assumed that it was going to be used to stop any attempt at that. I put those together, and then I selected arbitrarily 5149 because everyone has a, within 1.5%, there's a recount. You just want to make it so you don't have the recount because the recount will catch you. And handed it off to them and said, here you go, and here's how you stop it. You have to make sure you have paper that's separate from this machine, and you have to make sure that you actually count the paper. And essentially, I was told, no, we're actually going to use this. So I reported it. No one seemed to care. I testified before Congress.
And would that program that you designed be something that elections officials could detect?
They'd never see it.
So, Lemmy, you know, he was actually working on the case that was investigating it. He came one night and he says, I about have this broken open, just listen closely, you're gonna like what you hear. So, because, you know, we weren't friendly, he was like an investigator, and I was kind of telling him things that went on there. And then maybe a week away, he was found dead in a motel room in Valdosta, Georgia. And it was supposedly a suicide, but it's kind of weird that you would drive 150 miles into another state that doesn't require autopsies in order to kill yourself. So it is what it is, though. Initially a little bit, and that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book in order so it's all out there. So once it's all out there, if I end up, you know, hanging from a tree somewhere, then people are likely to read the book and something happens. So, you know, but so I wrote the book, and then suddenly everything got a lot calmer. But the most important feature isn't me, isn't Lemmy. It's the fact that your vote is not being counted and you can't verify it. I mean, it may be being counted sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. It can be changed to whatever they want to change it to. And you will never have a way to verify it unless you get away from that whole, look, I've got the fancy computer system of the week type of thing.
We don't engage in random sampling of the ballots. 75% of the electorate uses paper records to cast their votes. We don't look at those paper records at all. We rely solely on the election machines to tally the votes and to tell us the results.
And in contrast, voting using the optical scan technology produces a paper record. That paper record, you can go back to it if there is a problem, whereas for DREs, for the electronic voting, usually there isn't a good way to check whether there is a problem, much less to recover from it. It's not so much that one is more reliable than the other, it's that the electronic-only machines don't produce any kind of evidence trail that can be checked.
Now, some people argue for a full hand-counted paper ballot system, and Canada actually does that. Other communities do that. That is a possible explanation, that people who were polled were either shy about saying they voted for Trump, but it's equally possible that the election was interfered with, and intentionally interfered with possibly by hackers.
철저하고 정확하고 완벽해야만 하는 일. 그래서 수백 수천만의 생각이 있는 그대로 담길 수 있도록 우리는 고민해야 했습니다. 먼저 분류를 해둔다면 큰 도움이 될 것입니다.
Well, I'm not sure you should ever trust a machine. One technician there could swing a national election. So I am Douglas Jones. I am on the Faculty of Computer Science at the University of Iowa.
My name is David Dill. I'm a professor of computer science at Stanford University. I've been involved in voting technology for 12 or 13 years. As a computer scientist, I knew that there was no way to make sure that the software and the hardware in the machines was bug-free and not tampered with. It was just an impossible thing to do.
Most election machines are not connected to the internet at the time they are counting. But a skilled hacker could hack into the machine directly. This is not fiction. For example, the famous Stuxnet virus that was created apparently by a US-Israeli team. It invaded personal computers in Iran. And then later, when those computers were disconnected from the internet but connected to the centrifuges, it invaded the centrifuges and broke them. So this is a proven technology for attacking remote computer systems.
허락된 사람이 아니라면 시작조차 할 수 없습니다.
I suspect that it is very similar to my hotel key. So I have a security card. It gets me into my hotel room. In the field of security, we even have a term for this. We call it security theater.
What it does is it makes people feel good. So it's actually an extra opening as opposed to a closed door.
이 기록된 시간들은 그 앞 순서와 뒷 순서가 뒤바뀔 수가 없습니다. 당연하죠.
Yes, we know that we can push things backward in time. It's very easy. I can do something now that will happen 10 minutes ago. This is in Harry Potter perhaps, but
나는 이 표를 카운팅하지 못하겠다고 따로 토해낸 미분류표. 기계가 너무 많은 표를 미분류로 토해낸다. 기계를 믿어도 되는 건가?
With optical scan, if it's a very well-run election, the residual vote rate will typically be less than 1% for the top office on the ballot. But 3% seems like an exceptionally high residual vote rate. So have there been any official reports or investigations into what was wrong with the machines?
근데 저희들이 확실한 것은 제가 단언코 얘기할 수 있는 것은 이 기존을 속이지 않습니다. 사람은 믿기가 어렵습니다.
Maybe I shouldn't be asking you questions.
When you see with your own eyes that the machine can be manipulated, it's a terrible feeling of being violated. My name is Bev Harris, and I'm a writer. Since 2002, I've been writing about electronic voting issues. So as I began looking into this, I thought, well, let me see if I can find some programmers who program this stuff. And during that, I accidentally stumbled upon the programs themselves. They had been putting them on a file sharing server so the programmers could share them with each other. And I found them. It didn't require a password. And I downloaded all the programs. That's when we really started to find out how it all works. You know, we set up in 2006 to test a voting machine to see if we could tell the voting machine to produce incorrect results and if the election official would actually know. We conducted an experiment with a Finnish programmer by the name of Harri Hursti.
I have only touched the memory card, not the other parts of the default election system, which is going to be used today. Only the memory card.
So what we had to do in our tests was actually learn how to alter the programming inside the machine as if we were insiders who had control of the machines themselves.
This card will go into this slot. Two individuals, Hugh and Harry, will be voting yes. The rest of us will be voting no. Oh my.
7 people said it could be hacked.
And we put through 6 and 2.
6
no
no's
and 2 yes. Oh my gosh, do you know what this means?
And he was able to alter the results completely in the election. And the election official was actually standing in the room as he did it.
Susan, what does this mean for you?
Makes me cry. I'm sorry, but it does.
When you see with your own eyes that the machine can be manipulated, even though that's what I was doing for a living, I could not. It was terribly painful, just painful. Here in the United States, we often say, well, people are innocent until proven guilty, or you should trust them, you know. That's not actually the case with elections. Trust but verify. Be skeptical until proven correct.
As a computer security expert, we know how easy it is to program the computer so that it counts the votes dishonestly. The problem is that you can't see the difference.
Mein Name ist Constanze Kurz. Ich bin Informatikerin. Ich bin Hacker.
My name is Rob Gongrijp, and I'm a hacker and computer security researcher from the Netherlands. We became worried about electronic voting in the Netherlands.
Und irgendwann hat ein Anbieter, ein holländischer Anbieter, nämlich NEDAP, so heißt die Firma, angefangen, auch auf dem deutschen Markt elektronische Wahlcomputer anzubieten. Die nannten sich im Amtsdeutsch Wahlgeräte.
But a machine is much more associated in people's minds with doing a single purpose. Like a washing machine cannot possibly do something else. Whereas a computer it's people understand that it can do anything. So we shifted the debate from being about voting machines to being about voting computers.
Und wir haben dann gemeinsam mit den holländischen Hackern dieses Gerät wirklich intensiv untersucht und versucht, ob wir es manipulieren können. Sprich, ob wir die Software auf diesem Wahlcomputer so ändern können, dass wir Stimmen manipulieren können.
The machines had a huge field of keys for all the candidates, because in Holland we have lots and lots and lots of candidates, hundreds. So we put a chessboard over it. Empty. It wasn't a very good chess player, but we proved that it could play chess and showed that on TV.
Dieser Film hat zum einen in Holland sehr viel Aufmerksamkeit erzeugt, aber dann in der Folge auch in Deutschland. Also wir haben hier auch eine richtige Kampagne angefangen.
But the thing is, that still means you trust the people that put the software in there in the first place. Security is not what you need. What you need is transparency. You need verifiability. And those are different properties from what we think of as computer security.
And and we'll scan them, and we'll let you count maybe a small portion. We'll let you count overcounts or undercounts, but the rest you don't get to see.
In this particular case, what stands out for me is an error rate of 3.3% seems like a very high error rate. That needs some kind of an explanation.
When people look at the ballots that have valid votes on them but were rejected by the machine, it's very likely that they'll see some pattern.
If you don't know how many people showed up to vote, you can put in a percentage and say, no matter how many people show up to vote, I want the percent distribution to result as this.
And that computer, even if it is not now connected to the internet, so that later, when that computer is connected to the vote counting machine, that computer can then inject problems into the vote counting machine.
So for example, the worst kinds of attacks against many systems are insider attacks. So suppose a corrupt programmer puts something in the program that's very difficult to find that changes a few votes.
언제 이 수치가 방송에 나가는지를 최종적으로 통제하는 것은 중앙 서버예요.
중앙에서 데이터를 내리는 서버 한 대만 해킹을 하면 충분히 광범위한 해킹이 가능하다.
확실한 시그널이 잡힌 거라고 얘기할 수 있습니다. 그 시그널이라는 것은 결국은 랜덤이 아니라는 시그널이죠.
중앙에서 센트럴리 통제를 했기 때문에
같은 수치가 나온다라는 얘기는 중앙에서 컨트롤했다는 얘기예요.
기본적으로 선관 입장은 이게 전자개표가 아니다. 투표기 분류기에 불과하고 컴퓨터 네트워크나 인터넷으로 연결되어 있지 않는 것이다. 그러나 이제 개표기에 컴퓨터가 부착되어 있는 것은 고도의 어떤 전문적 집단이나 아주 뭐 해킹 집단들이 선관위 직원도 모르게 뭔가 이것에 조작을 할 개연성 이런 것에 대한 위험을 차단하는 것이 중요하다 이렇게 생각이 됩니다. 그래서 저도 여러 가지 그런 의문의 소지를 없애기 위해서 투표소 개표 방식을 채택하는 게 맞지 않을까 생각하는데 이제 투표소 개표 방식으로 바꾸게 되면 물량이 적기 때문에 금방 개표가 될 것 같고 수개표로 다 직접 확인이 될 수 있는 시간이고 또 이송 시간을 절약할 수가 있기 때문에 또 신속하게 개표 상황을 확인할 수가 있는 장점이 있다고 생각합니다.
Mein Name ist Ulrich Wiesner. Ich bin ein gelernter Physiker. Ich arbeite für ein amerikanisches Softwareunternehmen. Wir machen Operations Research. Ich habe aus familiären Gründen auch immer viel mit Wahlen zu tun gehabt. Mein Vater hat mich, als ich Kind war, schon mit zu Wahlen genommen, ins Wahllokal genommen, sowohl zur eigentlichen Stimmabgabe als auch zur Auszählung. Die erste Wahl, bei der ich in einem Wahllokal war 1973. Da war ich 6, als Willy Brandt Bundeskanzler wurde. Als Sechsjähriger war ich vielleicht das erste Mal dann auch am Ende des Wahltages mit in einem Wahllokal und habe gesehen, wie Stimmen ausgezählt werden. Das ist offenbar losgegangen in der Stadt Köln, die im Jahr 1999 das erste Mal mit Wahlcomputern experimentiert hat. Von den Wahlcomputern habe ich eine kleine Pressemitteilung geschrieben und ich habe dann sofort eine Einladung vom CCC bekommen zu deren jährlichen Kongress. Und da habe ich dann einen Vortrag gehalten über Wahlcomputer. Und über diesen Chaos Computer Club habe ich dann auch einige Leute kennengelernt, die sich mit dem Thema auch auseinandersetzen, mit denen Sie auch teilweise gesprochen haben, mit Rob Gongreib und mit Konstanze Kurz. Und mein Vater hat dasselbe getan in einem Wahllokal bei ihm in der Nähe. Und dann haben wir uns überlegt, wie man damit umgehen kann und haben dann zunächst eine Wahlprüfungsbeschwerde eingelegt. Und wir haben dann auch erwartungsgemäß im Sommer 2006 unsere Ablehnung erhalten. Und dagegen kann man Rechtsmittel einlegen. Und die zweite Instanz ist dann das Bundesverfassungsgericht. Und dann hat es relativ lange gedauert, also etwa nochmal 2 Jahre, bis dann das Urteil herauskam. Das Urteil kam im März 2009, also 3,5 Jahre nach der Wahl. Aber wir haben auch zu keinem Zeitpunkt bezweifelt, dass das Ergebnis stimmt, sondern es ging uns darum, sicherzustellen, dass die Wahl öffentlich nachvollziehbar ist und wie das Ergebnis zustande kommt.
Voraussetzung für den Einsatz elektronischer Wahlgeräte ist aber die Wahrung des verfassungsrechtlichen Grundsatzes der Öffentlichkeit der Wahl.
Also mein Vater war eigentlich ein sehr politisch immer sehr konservativer Mensch und es war eigentlich für mich ein großartiger Moment, als wir dann nach der Urteilsverkündung zusammengesessen haben mit etwa 30 Leuten in einem Restaurant in Karlsruhe. Und es waren linke Aktivisten dabei und sehr konservative ältere Herren. Und die sich eigentlich alle einig waren zu feiern, dass Wahlen frei und demokratisch sein müssen. Ja? Und wir haben 2 autoritäre Regime gehabt in Deutschland und weder unter Hitler noch unter den Kommunisten in der DDR gab es freie Wahlen und das ist einfach nicht hinzunehmen, da Kompromisse zu machen bei dem Thema, wie Wahlen organisiert werden.
No step in the processing of the ballots from the moment the ballot leaves the voter's hand to the moment the ballot has been counted. No step in that process should be done in private without being observed by the public.
That is a very delicate process that we all have to monitor very carefully because it's the heart of democracy. It's the heart of transferring power without needing to shoot each other. Computers cannot take away that responsibility.
You have to double check them in a way that doesn't require a computer. As a computer scientist, it's my position that you should not trust computers in an election.
I think it's an ongoing fight. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. We will see fights into indefinite periods of time going forward about our democracy.
Because people are endlessly creative and clever. And if we simply open it up, that's what democracy is supposed to be. We're all supposed to be able to see, and it encourages participation. It encourages people to get involved.
저는 통계니까 증상만 판단할 수 있어요. 원인은 판단을 못해요. 근데 저는 그 얘기를 하기 전에 중앙선관위가 요거는 반드시 설명을 해야 된다고 생각해요. 비정상인 것이 나왔으니까 중앙선관위가 왜 이런 현상이 일어났는지 설명을 해줘야 돼요.